Thank you, man.
Just going to start. Right. Welcome once again to Appleton Private University, UK, Spain, and YYCI International Academic UK Global Online Diploma Masterclass. Amazing, amazing that we've started the journey together since May. And now we are rounding it off this month of July. And after this, we're going to do the dissertation and we'll be ready for our graduation. So I want to say well done to everyone. Thank you for your assignment. I really am enjoying all the assignments. I'm trying to put everything together so that I can do my final feedback. So keep sending your assignment and we will be able to put everything together for you before the celebration. Well, congratulations and well done for the great jobs you are doing. If you still are outstanding of any assignment, please submit it to me as soon as possible, either through my WhatsApp personally or send it, or do the two together because sometimes my WhatsApp can be playing off. So send it to my WhatsApp and also send it to yyci.academic@gmail.com. So well done. We are still in the journey of time for transformation, and we are only focusing the days of Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Our modules so far is mindset, personal development, emotional intelligence, artificial intelligence, financial intelligence, leadership, and management. And our teachers have been a great lecturers. So I'm so happy for every one of you. And I want to see action after this diploma. I want to see progress. I want to see you taking action and applying what you've learned during this diploma. Okay, let's start off. Why is there no sound? Can you hear anything?
Ma?
Can you hear anything?
Yes.
Oh, you can hear it, so it's me that I can't hear anything.
Yes.
Okay, that's fine. If you can hear, that's fine. But can you hear my voice?
I'm here.
Okay, so you can hear me clearly.
Very clear.
Okay, all right. So, okay, so we need to continue. So today, we're going to be focusing on few informations as well. I think we've done this one already and you have done it in the assignment. 5 strategies of life in personal development. So let us not go to that. But I want to remind you again that we are covering the personal development and there are various areas that you need to develop yourself. So we've said it before, but I just want to recap it before we move on to the next one. So personal development, social growth is to improve your communication skills. An active listening and speaker will promote relationship, friendship, live in harmony, perform well, and give satisfaction. Emotional growth will also give you emotional growth is about developing and managing of your feelings and how we react to situation. This can help to over challenges and expressing our emotion effectively. Patience and openness, tolerance and understanding yourself, others, and situation. So while you are developing your spiritual growth, it's such a faith, your culture, your beliefs, your experiences, practicing a religion or meditating regularly or improving the spiritual health is to connect yourself with holistic level, building relationship with your creator, find your inner peace, knowing who you are, your purpose. All this can help to manage stress and build confidence in ourselves and our ability. We also talk about the mental growth, which focuses on the development of your mind, your thinking, your learning. That is exactly what we're doing on this platform. We are engaging our mind and we are adding invaluable informations to our mindset. And we are gaining and learning because learning is living. So, learning, researching, observing, improving your mental aptitude, reading books, watching videos, listening to audio tapes and audio books, and many more. Those ones helps you to grow your mental state. Then physical growth is about your health. How are you taking care of your body, your spirit, soul, and mind? So it needs to be healthy body facilitates effective brain functioning, eating nutritious food meal, exercising regularly, and having an adequate sleep. So now this is where we're going today. And I want to use this opportunity to first of all appreciate all my great leaders on this platform. Right, I can see that Engineer Adeshina Aderemi is already here. Madam Oluwatosin Mary, thank you for joining. Senior Professor, my mentor, good morning, sir. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. Ambassador Basi Mutela, thank you for joining. And Ambassador Rachel, thank you so much, ma'am, for joining us from Birmingham. Okay, so today we are going to talk about 4 ways to develop and control our mindset. The first one is self-assessment and self-acceptance. The second one is appreciate yourself. The third one is determine your thought. And the fourth one is share your thoughts with a trusted person. So let's now break it down. The first one, I said self-acceptance. If you know who you are, and if you know who you are, you know your purpose, then you have the ability to accept who you are. You don't have to change. You don't have to copy or compete yourself with others. You don't have to change anything about your appearance. You just have to improve yourself. So for you to improve yourself, you need to first of all accept who you are. Accept that you are somebody. Accept that you are human. Accept that you are powerful. Accept that you are the right image of God. Accept that you are created by the God of the universe. Accept that you are unique and you are special. One of the major ways to control your mindset is through your self-acceptance. Because it depends on the information you state in your mind. Many people have the right to speak to you, to tell you who you are, to put you down, to oppose you, to criticize you, to call you all kinds of names. But you don't have to accept them. You don't have to accept. In fact, when they criticize you, you turn it around and use it for your own development. That's the time you can see ways of developing yourself, the areas that you need development. So when they said you are nobody, when they said to you that you cannot do it or you are this, assess yourself and believe in yourself. Another thing is that what you store in your mind, what you allowed to stay in your mind, we categorically makes you to believe it and also start thinking about it. The scripture says, as the man thinks, so is he. And I'm sure we've done some exercise on this platform before, whereby we were asking you some serious questions on what are you thinking? What is in your mind? What do you believe? So when you know what you are believing and you know your mind, you know how you are thinking, then you will definitely accept who you are. If you are thinking about negativity, then that means you are not ready to accept how unique you are. Because what you are thinking will definitely, automatically, will make you to behave in a certain way and perform in a certain way. So you need to accept who you are. You need to be proud of yourself. You need to celebrate yourself. You need to know and accept it that, yes, I am not Mr. Bazi, and I will not be Madam Rachel. Obviously, I'm not going to be Aderemi, and I'm not going to be Oluwatoyin or my mentor, Senior Professor Charles. We are all different. Even though we are equal in the sight of God, but we are different. Even though we can still claim because of based our ability, we can still say that our fingers are not equal, but we are still different. And that's more reason why we should accept who we are. The disadvantages of not accepting who you are can make you to be insecure, can make you to lose your confidence and your self-image, can make you to be jealous of others and fighting others, can lead some people to abuse another human being because they don't know who they are and they didn't want to accept who they are. So it is very important that we know who we are. And it's very important also to know our purpose. Because if you know your purpose, you will focus on carrying on according to your purpose. You will like what you are doing. You will enjoy what you are doing. So you need to know your purpose. This week on Monday, we went through the process of knowing our purpose. We worked together on Monday. If you missed it, please watch the video. So the first one is A, acceptance. Self-acceptance. One of the major ways to control your mind is through self-acceptance. If you do not accept yourself, you will definitely have a low self-image or esteem and lack of knowledge, lack of confidence. But on the other hand, if you accept yourself, that you are here like any other person, if you accept yourself that you have a mission to carry on, if you accept yourself that you are the image of God, if you accept yourself that you are created by Him and you are wonderfully made, whether you are a woman or a man, if you can accept yourself, then you have the energy to go on and take your place. You will definitely have a low self-esteem if you deny yourself. Even when people are even reminding you that you are so special. But if you deny yourself, you are working towards the low esteem. But if you accept yourself, in a positive way, then your self-esteem will increase. I am a practical example of what we are talking about, just based on what I have gone through in my early years and believing in what other people say. I put myself down. I shy away from it. Even when people say that you're a leader, I deny it. I ran away from responsibilities. I did not accept myself. And it cost me a lot. Because if you don't accept yourself, you don't expect respect from others. Because the more you accept yourself, the more you gain respect. So you need to respect yourself so that others as well can respect you. That builds confidence, nothing else. Yes, we can read a lot of books on building confidence, branding yourself, position yourself in the society. But if you don't do your inner work, accepting who you are, you will just be wasting your time trying to please others. So we need to accept ourselves. So that's one of the ways to control your mindset. I have some series of things I will give you before the end of today that you can say to yourself, yes, I am, or yes, I can. I am who I am in Christ Jesus. I am who I am, created by God Almighty. I am who I am. I don't need to duplicate. I am the original of myself. I am the best version of myself. When you start saying this to yourself, then you are gaining energy and you are repositioning yourself. You are posturing yourself. So the first one is self-assessment and self-acceptance. Another thing also you can do for you to accept yourself is you need to assess yourself. We've done that as well in our previous sections. You need to assess yourself. You need to know who you are. You need to know your strength. So you can use the SWOT analysis for that. Because every human being, they have their own strengths, they have their own weaknesses. But it's just funny that majority focus on their weaknesses. And sometimes when you just focus on that and doing nothing, you put yourself down. But when you look at your weakness and say, well, that is the area for me to improve, then you find the ways to improve yourself in that area. But you don't have to dwell in your weaknesses. Because what you focus on will increase. Are you focusing too much on your weakness or are you focusing on your strength? And by the time you realize it, the whole world will also support you in focusing on your weakness. So every human being has their own way of building themselves up. So when you assess yourself, evaluate yourself, watch what you are doing, watch what you are saying, watch how you are doing things, watch the kind of friends you surround yourself, because it says, show me your friends, I will tell you who you are. And your network is your net worth. So these ones will determine develop and control your mindset. Self-assessment, acceptance is very important. I can talk all over on that alone all day. But we have a lot to discuss today. So self-acceptance. How do you accept yourself? How do you accept yourself? If you know the answer, you can type it for us. Let's use our chat so that we learn from one another. How do you assess yourself? I mean, one of it, I've said it, is for you to trace, for you to look at your strengths and your weakness. How do you assess yourself? You can also assess yourself if you listen constructively with whatever people are saying, because some of them, they might be saying it negatively to you, but then if you rethink and look at it, it might be the area for you, or they might be saying the opposite way around. So how do you assess yourself? That's the questions I want you to ask yourself at the moment. Because if you don't assess yourself, you cannot accept yourself. If you don't know who you are, people will tell you who you are. So you need to really assess that. It's very important. So let's move on quickly to the second one. Now that you've known who you are, your purpose, the next one is appreciate yourself. Now you've accepted yourself. Now you know who you are. Now you know what you can do and what you can do, your ability, your capacity. Now you know your strengths, you know your area, you know your position, you know your path, you know your purpose. Then appreciate yourself. If you can appreciate yourself, you don't have to compare yourself to any other person. I'm saying this because it will also help us with our relationship with our children. You don't compare your children, your husband, your wife with anybody. So whatever you do to yourself, you will also do to others. If you can accept yourself, then you expect others to accept themselves, to be who they are. And if you can appreciate yourself, then you allow others also to appreciate themselves, because we are all different. So we appreciate ourselves. There is this wise saying that encourages us to treat ourselves the way we would treat our guests. How do you treat yourself? How do you feed yourself? How do you take care of yourself? Because the way you position yourself, the way you treat yourself is the same way that others will treat you. Because you are saying, you are announcing it to them that they can treat you the way you want them to treat you. So the way we would treat, so this means you should always take time off to appreciate yourself in a special way, because you are unique. You need to appreciate yourself. You need to appreciate who you are. That is where contentment also will come in, because if you can appreciate yourself, there's no point looking at the other next and your neighbor. You don't have to, because you don't know your uniqueness. That is what we are talking about. Because if you know your uniqueness, there's no reason for you to look out there. You can praise them. You can appreciate them. You can admire them. But you cannot wish yourself to be like them. No. Appreciate yourself and who you are. You've heard the part that you can't compare your spouse. No, with other spouse. That's the beginning of danger in the house. You can't even compare your children. Do you know that even the two human beings that come out of the women, the twins, they are different. They are not the same. They can look alike, but they are still different personality. Because everybody is formed, created differently in a unique way. So if you want to develop and control your mindset, you have to do it through you. If you have to control what is going into your mind, when people say to you, you are rubbish, just brush it out like a mosquitoes. But still, you can learn. Don't just tell somebody you are rubbish. Give them a critical, constructive feedback of themselves, areas they can develop themselves. Talking to people they are rubbish is like telling God that what you've created is rubbish. So that's more reason why we should be mindful of how we talk to ourselves, how we talk to others. Despite the mistakes you feel you have done or shortcomings, you see in yourself, you are still special. I mean, imagine, maybe you haven't said it before, you haven't thought about it before. Imagine somebody doing something nasty, seriously nasty. God is still giving him a second chance. And that's the God that created us. And he would like us to behave the way he is. So that means there's a room for mercy. There's a room for mercy. That is why we can forgive one another. And God is forgiving us. So despite all that, we are still special in the eyes of the person that created us. Have you seen somebody creating something or producing something or manufacturing something, and at the end of it all, they themselves said what they've created is rubbish? Is it possible? No. So if we are talking to ourselves, we should also remind ourselves of God, the universe that have created us. He has not created rubbish. He has made us unique. He made us in his own right image. So we need to appreciate that. So appreciate yourself. This is a mindset that allows you to feel self-love. If you can accept who you are, and if you can accept your purpose, and if you can accept that, yes, there's still areas of improvement, then you will appreciate yourself. You appreciate who you are now. And then you start developing yourself. Start loving and caring for yourself. That's the way to appreciate. Very important. So let's move on. Then what next? The first one is acceptance. Thank you so much, Mr. Bazzi. How to assess myself. Be still. Take quiet time alone to reflect. Ask deep questions: who I am and what do I want? Journal or write your thought honestly. Observe patterns. Notice your habits and emotions. Connect spiritually. Pray or meditate for inner clarity. Absolutely. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. And another person, okay. Yes, greetings, Mr. Ayosukosi, our designer. Greetings to you. Thank you for joining us. Okay, so let's move on. Okay, Ambassador Roland is joining us from Rising Light Educational Center. You just wake up. Huh?
Yes.
We've not been seeing you for the past 6 months. What's happening? Eh? All right, you are welcome. We appreciate
Okay.
your joining us today to learn. Okay, so let me continue. So the next one, can somebody remind me of the two that we have mentioned and also explain it in your own way? The two ways to grow and develop our mindset. I've just mentioned two. We are dealing with personal development. So I've mentioned two ways, and I want somebody to mention it on the chat box for the benefit of those that just joined us or having problem with their connection. I've mentioned two ways of of develop and control our mindset. So what is the first one? If somebody can remind me, if you were here with me from the beginning, what was the first one? I did emphasize it more because it's very, very important. How you accept yourself is how you will develop yourself. How you accept yourself is how you celebrate yourself or appreciate yourself. I just mentioned it. Can somebody remind us on the chat box as we go on? But I will still continue to repeat it so that we will get it. I said ways to develop and control our mindset. I said number one, self-acceptance. Please, let us not forget that. Self-acceptance. And then the next one is appreciate yourself. Now we are moving on to the next one. Determine your thoughts. Determine your thoughts. Appreciate, I made one, and that is to appreciate yourself and know that you are created in the image of God. That's it. Thank you, sir. Mr. Ayanso Kosi. Thank you so much. Yes, that is the second one. And the first one was self-acceptance. Now the third one is determine your thoughts. When you are developing your mindset, when you are growing your mindset, you need to determine your thoughts. There will be a lot of words, informations rushing into your ears, even seeing all kinds of things, reading and watching and all that. But you have to determine your thoughts. That's also another way to protect your mind. You have to determine the thought that goes through your mind. Is it positive? Is it negative? If it is positive, you are on the right track. Or if it is negative, you have to find a way to shift quickly from negative to positive, because that is the only way for you to develop your mindset. So, positive thoughts have good effects in your life, while negative thoughts are destructive in nature. So always try to command your mind to stop anytime you are thinking about something negative. Anytime you are thinking, because sometimes as well, negative thoughts can lead you to fear, can make you to be afraid to do something, can make you to be afraid to take a risk, can make you afraid to move from one place to another, can make you to be afraid to come out of your comfort zone. That's negative. Can hold you back and it can also limit you. You have the potentials to do greater things. But if you have a negative thought, that can limit or stop you. That is the time when you have a negative thought. That is the time that you're operating on a lower level when you're supposed to be operating on a higher level. I did say that we are special. If God can do something for us, He has trained us to be able to do that thing. But if you limit yourself and start thinking you are not able, then you won't be able to operate the way God wants you to operate. Yes, people will talk to us. They will tell you all kinds of things. That's their own opinion. I break free and you can break free from their thoughts. If they tell you that you are not amount to anything, embrace it, but at the same time, move on. Prove to them by developing yourself. And the way you want to develop yourself will first of all start from your mindset. Are you ready to change? Are you ready to make a change? Are you ready to distinguish yourself? Are you ready to develop yourself? Are you ready to get better? If you are ready, then you need to really control your feelings. Control your thinking. That's what we are talking about. And the only thoughts that will help you to move forward, that will progress you in life, is the positive thought. Always try to command your mind to stop anytime you are thinking about something negative. Always. You have control over your mind and should determine what goes on your inside of it. I'll tell you an example. During the time of COVID, because I worked in the hospital, and I can experience, I can see how people are dying every day in the hospital. And then you come back from hospital again, you switch on the telly, and they are telling you thousands upon thousands of people that are dying. Then guess what? Then you start thinking about that. Is it going to be me the next? Am I going to be part of the statistics? And then you start thinking deeply. And through your thinking, sometimes then it's your thinking. It's your thinking that leads, even if you are not, even if you've done everything to protect yourself, but if you have that thinking, that negative thinking, you will see that you end up becoming. And that's what happens to me during that time. We were protected because I was working in the hospital. We were protected. But the fear gripped me just because of what we see in the hospital. And you come back home, you listen, you sat down there, you listen to all this bad news, bad news. And then guess what happened? Then I fell into it. And then I had COVID. Even my own daughter said, Mommy, what are you listening to? What are you watching? Stop it. So it has a way, your thought has a way of affecting your life. All this bad news. Have you seen in every of our media gadgets, people embrace bad news, negative news, more than even positive. In fact, people don't even know what is positive anymore. But you need to develop yourself if you want to come to another level. For example, there's difference between somebody that is looking at the challenges and giving excuses and complaining and complaining and blaming others. The same situation, somebody else will grab it and say, there must be an opportunity. There must be an opportunity out of these challenges. That's what differentiates them. So one is losing and one is gaining. One is successful and one is failing. That's the difference. Because if your thoughts, if you have fed your thinking, your mind, and your thought is all about negative, then you can't perform well. Do you also know that negative thinking, negative thought can lead you to have sickness, can have you to be sick? So if you want a healthy life, then you start thinking opposite everything that you think is bad. So your self-image should be positive and your self-esteem will be increased if you shift your mindset from negative to positive and start looking at the opposite. Start looking at the opportunity. So, self-acceptance and appreciate yourself. And the next one I said was determine your thoughts. This is an active way of getting control of your mindset. Do you know you have the power to guide your mind? Do you know you have the power to control what goes in your mind? Do you know? Because if you have that ability to know what is right and what is wrong, what is positive and what is negative, if you have that ability, then why don't you use it? Because I know you have it. Not every day we have to lament. Not every day we have to complain. Not every day that we have to blame somebody. Let's pick ourselves up. The scripture says, arise and shine, for your light has come, and the glory of the Lord is risen. For us that we are Christians, sorry for others that are not on this platform, but that is how I need to express that. He said, arise and shine. Don't sit down there complaining, lamenting, and giving excuses why you can't do this, why you can't jump up. We understand the situation. But what we are saying is that don't dwell in it. Because dwelling in it has nothing to do with you. You cannot gain anything. You cannot move forward. You cannot progress. Don't dwell in it. We all are aware of what is going on around us, in our country, in our community. We know. But don't dwell in it. I mean, for the past 5 years, even after this COVID, the next thing that happens to the whole world is this economic crisis. Yes, we are aware of it. But are we going to fold our hands and say, well, Sarah, whatever will be, will be? No. You need to rise up and start looking at the opportunities. That's what we are talking about. So you determine your thoughts, how you are thinking. You have the control over your mind, and you should be determined what you want to do. You need to determine the position of your thinking. You need to determine, because that's the only way to feed and grow and develop your mindset. Then the D is share your thoughts with a trusted person. Yes, some of us might say there's nobody to trust, but there's still somebody to trust. But the only thing is, don't place your expectation too high. And mind what you are sharing. Mind what you are sharing with others. Know the person you are sharing with. How well do you know the person? Do you know the ability that even when you share with them, you will feel comfortable? Do you know them properly before you start sharing? So mind what you are sharing with the trusted people, even as trusted as you can be trusting them. Know and be careful of what you share. Why? The reason why we say this, that mind what you share and mind the people you are sharing with, is because your condition that you are facing, if you share it with some people, they might even make it worse, where some people might make it better. And that's more reason why you should be careful and know who to trust. Even when you trust the person, you still have to assess, because those people you trust today might change their mind. You can only change yourself, but you can't change them. They might be in a better position in life. Maybe that is why you trust them. They might be high personalities. Maybe that is why you trust them. But still, it's not enough to open everything up if you don't really know them. Because what you share with others, others will either lift you up or they can put you down. And your condition might become worse if care is not taken. So you need a new perspective of others' thoughts, because you don't know it all and you are not perfect. And we are not created to be in this world isolated. There must be somebody somewhere that you can share. Sometimes you can achieve this by confiding in someone that you trust. Take, for instance, I've got some of my mentors. I can talk to them anytime. I can listen to their own opinion and reasoning. That is why in YYCI International, I have my set of mentors. I have the advisory board members. We have the presidents and the directors. We also have the mentors, our matron and patron. So we categorize them in the position they can perform well. So, for example, my mentor, General Charles, I have his number, his personal number, WhatsApp number. If something is worrying my mind, I can text him and he knows the way to respond back. And his response, I can see the effect it takes that makes my situation better. So that one is very important. So sometimes you can achieve this by confiding in someone that you trust, but make sure you know them before you start building your trust with them. This could be your parents. Oh, yes. It could be your counselor. I did mention mentor. It could even be your teacher. I remember when I failed woefully my GCSE in secondary school in Nigeria. I mean, everything was F. I'm sure some people from Nigeria will understand that F. Everything was F. I failed woefully. And there was a teacher, Mrs. Shobo, God bless her. You know, I just visited her because she was in charge of that area. And then she called me and said, Elizabeth, you didn't do well. Oh. Everything is just, I mean, this one will not take you anywhere. You didn't do well. And then she sat me down. What she said to me that time, 40 years ago, it has really helped me up till now. She said, one thing I want you to know in life, failure is not the end of life. You can either repeat that exam and look at ways to improve it and then get it better next time and you pass, or you can do something else. But there are different ways to develop. That's what she said. She said, in life, some will go fast, pass their GCSE, pass their WYEC, get to university, pass their university, get their degree, pam, 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 within a short period, they've gone. They've done it. But there are still some people, because that is their own lane. They will go round and round like a snail. They might want to, during that time, do some trainings, and then they get on and go on. So you can train, you can develop yourself, you can do all that thing. But they're going like this, round and round like a snail. But they will still get to their destination. Either you run fast to get there, or you slow to get there. Both of you will get to your destination and say, wow, wow. And is that happened? Oh, yes, it happened. And she also says something. The experience will also be different. For somebody that has passed, pam, pam, go to university, get everything done, get your job, be fulfilled, that's fine. But for somebody that is going slowly, is going through some challenges on the way. So that one will make him to, he will make mistakes, he will also learn from it, he will also move on, he will still do some training, and he will get there. So the experience both of them are is different from one another. I say, wow. And does that happen? Oh, yes, it happened. Because I'd had a lot of experiences I gained from. So that is it. So you don't tear yourself down because you failed. Yesterday, there one of, I think the primary schools, they got their result yesterday and other things like that. Some will fail, some will pass. But it's not the end of the world. I remember when I was growing up, they said there will be two drama on the day of the graduation. I mean, not graduation. On the last day of the school, there will be two drama. Some people will cry, and some people will jubilate. You understand? Just because they've infused into their lives that you must not fail. You must not fail. That's what we heard during our own generation. You must not fail. But then the person that failed can make it better. Those people you see up there successful, they failed several times, but they made it. So that is the unique part of it. They made it in life. So that kind of thing should be controlled in your mind. So they can give you a new view of the negative thoughts which you are struggling with. The new perspective helps you to control your mindset in future for your own benefit. So if you are surrounded with negative people, you know what to do now. Move away. If you are having a full of negativity, you know what to do now. Shift your mindset. If you are experiencing one thing or the other, failure, mistakes, and every other, and challenges, you know what to do now. Think and know that no condition is permanent. And of course, you are not perfect. We are all getting better every day if we chose to develop ourselves. So that is another one. Okay, so now that we have mentioned the self-accept, the ways to develop and control our mind, we've talked about the self-acceptance. We've talked about the appreciate yourself. We talk about determine your thoughts. We also talk about share your thought with a trusted person. Okay? So let's move on quickly to say, how do you now renew the mindset we are talking about? Because today it's like we are focusing more on mindset. Number one, take responsibility for your thoughts and feelings. Nobody will do that for you. That is the uniqueness of who you are. Take responsibility of your feelings. Take responsibilities of your thoughts. You can control your thoughts, your thinking. You can control it, and you can control your feelings. That is why emotional intelligence is very important. Because if you can learn more on that area, how to manage your emotions, how to manage your feelings, then you will be able to take control of your feelings and even your thoughts. So essential. So these are all signs that in some ways you have to regain control of your thought life. So you need to start reasoning. What am I thinking? Something I would like you to do for me. If you haven't got this book, please request for it. That place I was trying to help renewing mind and your thoughts. And the inside of it, I have encouraging people to write down their thoughts, like like an exercise. So draw the line. You have the negative thoughts, you have the positive thoughts of positive thinking and negative thinking. So in your own spare life, your time of your free time, every negative thought that comes your way, write it down. And then now ask questions about those thoughts. Where is this negative thoughts taking me to? What am I going to gain from this negative thought? So write that one down. By the time you finish those exercises, you will see that there's no point you thinking, wasting your time to be thinking negatively. Then the other side, write your positive thinking, your thoughts. When you've done that as well, try to look at how will this one take me from one level to another? How will it progress me? How will it make me better with my positive? How can I gain opportunity from this, my positivity? So that is very important. I also say something as well. Okay. This your thinking. If you want to categorize your thinking, is it constructive? Is it productive? Is it creative? Is your thinking inventive? Is it progressive? And is it positive? So that's the exercise, and that is what I'm going to use for my my assignment today when I send it later. So the first one is take responsibility for your thoughts and feelings. And then the B, evaluate your thoughts, just as what I've said to you. Evaluate your thought life, but examine your feelings as well. How are you feeling about what you are thinking? This exercise works because it gives you self-awareness and empowers you to take control over what you allow in your mind and how it helps you to renew your mindset. So that is very important. So ways, number one, I said, take responsibility for your thoughts and feelings. For you to renew your mindset, you must first take responsibility. Take ownership of your thoughts. The truth that is, we are powerless to change anything for which we refuse to accept responsibility. And becoming aware of what and how you think is an important first step to developing a new mind that reflects positivity. So, what is the limiting and defeating thought that you find yourself returning to repeatedly? I want you to think about this question. What is the limiting and defeating thought that you find yourself returning to it repeatedly during the day? When you are left alone in your thoughts, what pattern of thinking do you find your mind drifting towards? Do you keep your life full of activities with little time to be alone because you are afraid of your thoughts, feelings, and fears? Do you? So these are all the signs that some ways you have to regain and control your thoughts. So then, and finally, evaluate your thought life by examining your feelings, because feelings comes from thinking. One of the best way to evaluate the condition of your mind and renew your mindset is to keep a journal, just as I've shown you in this book, of the negative and fearful things that enter your mind during the day. Just write words or phrase that reflect any thought or feelings that naturally come to your mind. Writing this down gets them out of your mind into a paper or somewhere where you can evaluate them. You will probably be amazed how your mind shifts or drifts in the direction of lust, pride, jealousy, and self-condemnation. You will be surprised. But if you change your mindset, you'll change your life. And it will be better for you, because if you change who you are, if you change your mindset, and you change your attitude, your behaviors, your relating with others, it will definitely influence others. And as a leader, that is what you want to do. But let me quickly say this and I will stop. Change is an inevitable. Life itself is full of change, as you can all see in this world. people change. We can say that change is one of the natural laws of nature. Since we know that life is filled with changes, either negative or positive, we need as individuals to develop a mindset that will be fit and strong for progressive growth for ourselves, the people around us, our society, our nation, and the world at large. Because our singular change of mindset affects all the spheres in our way, or the other, either negative or positive, fixed and growth mindset. So, on this note, I believe you've listened carefully and you will be conscious of your mindset and your feelings and even your attitude. So I want to say thank you so much for all what you've said on the chat box, how you've contributed. Thank you so much for listening, and I wish you all the best in your self-development.